you know. So
Yeah.
you know, and I think to myself, gee, at 25, I'm like, what are the implications for him later in life? You know. But,
absolutely, and it's a good question. You know, diabetes is a really strange. I don't know if you call it a disease. I'm not sure what the definition is of what category it falls into. But yeah, in the early 20s, that is really, really hectic. And do you know what sort of medication he's on?
no, no.
Um, yeah, it's, you know, if it's diabetes 2, which probably is, I don't know, then it's a problem with being able to manage it largely with diabetes, with diet. And but I've come to the conclusion after today's test results. I mean, my glucose level was like 16, but my blood over the last 3 months, the A1C test of was like 13, and really it should be my age half that. Okay.
In fairness to you, though, you've had an incredibly stressful few months, though, haven't you? You know.
Yeah, and I agree, and you know, we didn't. I don't know. We didn't discuss that with the doctor. He just wanted to double all my dosage of everything that I was taking, and then sort of like, okay, get out, and I'll charge you double for this appointment. Until I complained, and then he then he didn't. I don't know how many other people argue with the doctor, but anyway. Yeah, I think, you know, it didn't occur to me today about the stress, and that's been sitting around for a little while now. So what I agreed with him is that, you know, because I'm doing whatever I can, I'm taking the medication, and I'm watching my diet, but maybe now with what you've just said to remind me, I should look at another means of dealing with stress. Okay. You know, I had a hell of a stressful time yesterday. One of my sons really gave me up here, and I you know, my tolerance for stress is low at the moment, very low. I get angry very quickly. You know, he wasn't here. Obviously, he's in London, lives in London, but it's. I was angry with his attitude towards me. But so yeah, I think you're right, Don. I think maybe it's got to do predominantly with stress, and not the diet. I mean, I'm taking the tablets. I'm watching my diet very carefully. I look at labels all the time. Yeah. How do you deal with stress? How do you deal with stress?
I just drink a lot.
Drink a lot of water.
I know it's a constant battle. You know, it really is, and I think you know, from a personal perspective, I've probably got a bit more awareness of, you know, how I'm feeling at any given time. And I check in on myself a bit more often now in terms of, you know, like, well, why are you feeling that way, you know, and like just sort of put things into perspective a bit more, not sort of like suppressing it, but just sort of saying, well, You know, like if it's about work or something, it's just like, well, why? You know, like why? You know, and if it's so bad, you know, then get out. You know. But I think, yeah, from my own perspective, it is just trying to have a higher level of self-awareness about it, I think. And the way that I do that is just sort of, you know, just see how I'm feeling, you know, whether I've got tightness in the shoulders or, you know, low level of tolerance, you know, if I'm driving to work or wherever. And just, you know, how I react to other people on the road and stuff like that, you know. I mean, I think I'm quite patient in that, but at the same time, I think it's, you know, it's an insidious thing. It sneaks up on you, and before you know it, you know, you've got a raging bull inside of you with all these weird thoughts going on, you know. So
yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of things too. Like it's, you know, trying to get myself in those spaces, you know, that I enjoy. You know, whether it's a bit of time in the garden or going for a walk in the morning or spending some time in the workshop, you know, just those things that are important to me. So
Yeah.
I mean, in a couple of weekends, not next weekend, today's the 14th, so yeah, the last weekend of the month, I'm going to go away on a silent retreat just for the Saturday, Sunday. So, you know, just give myself a bit of space.
Okay, that's a good idea. What type of retreat?
Oh, it's just following on from that study I've been doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically just I mean, they provide spiritual direction, which I think is more sort of contemplation of scripture, as I understand it. But it's just a silent retreat. So like from 9 a.m. on Saturday through to 3 p.m. on Sunday, and it's a live-in, you know.
Okay. So it's a group of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that because I haven't done anything like that for quite some time. So yeah, just a change of scenery, you know.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea, right? Well done. Ongoing. Yeah.
But how's your back? Is it settling down or?
It's weird. I mentioned it to the doctor today, and you know, showed him exactly where it was and so on, and yeah, he didn't. You know, he does what doctors do. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you some really strong drugs. You know.
It's a wonder that he responded to you at all, you know, because quite often they say, don't they, like, oh, well, you're not here to talk to me about your back, you're here to talk to me about your diabetes. So,
well, he didn't have any option. I stood up in front of him and I showed him. I said, "Now I've got a pain." Okay. I always take Sue in with me. She thought that was funny as well. And then he stretched out with his hand sitting on his seat, and he said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, just about there." Okay. But I said, yeah, it comes and it goes. Okay. Sometimes I can just be, I don't know, carrying a cup of coffee to go to my chair, and the back just gives way, you know, like just.
Oh, really? Okay.
And you know, I haven't smashed any cups, fortunately. Messed coffee on the floor, but I haven't. And then, yeah, then it perhaps for the rest of the day it doesn't. So I really don't know what's going on. But anyway, I will try the painkillers and see if they form muscles that he's given me. I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I have taken some of my own, and hasn't helped very much. But the most important thing, I think, is that I sleep pretty well.
Well, that is important, isn't it? You know.
yeah, yeah.
There's nothing worse than waking up tired, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess another problem I used to have is what we used to call in South Africa, if I interpret it into English, because we used to use the Afrikaans word tweede slaap. If we have a second sleep, okay.
Yeah.
And that's when I get buggered, okay.
Mm.
Sure. So I'm aware of that, and but I do take quite a long time to actually wake up. You know, I don't jump up like a spring chicken, and anyway, what you been up to?
Not a whole lot. It's been incredibly wet over here the last few days. So
I saw that, yes, a lot of rain. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't heavy rain, or not where I am anyway, but it was just sort of light, sort of soaking rain, you know, which is good for the garden. But yeah, you know, and I suppose one of the upsides with it, it's not as cold as it has been, you know. So.
I saw, was it New South Wales that had like 250 mils?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Northern New South Wales, isn't it? Yeah.
Flooding that came with it. Yeah, here is exactly the same. Day after day, and the last 2 days also, the last day anyway, day and night. And you're right, it keeps the clouds there, and it's a little warmer at nighttime.
Yeah. So yeah, but I haven't been doing much. So really, work's sort of been a bit busy, you know, as this move gets closer. So more and more stuff going on there. But again, I just try and park it over there. And
what move?
Oh, they're relocating the store.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah, about 200 meters down the road. So
okay. So nothing major.
I mean, it's a whole new sort of format and layout and everything, but the guy who owns it is one of those sort of guys that like today it's going to be this, but tomorrow no, I've changed my mind. It's now going to be like this, and oh, maybe that wasn't such a bad idea, or you know, so it's sort of, you know, whereas sort of my style is okay. Well, let's do our planning and then settle on it and go and do it, you know. But he's sort of different style, and I just accept that. I thought it's his circus, you know. So
yeah. Was it just the lease that was up, or is there sort of a major move in the retailing style?
No, well, it's more about the warehousing area. So the warehouse area that they're going to is a lot bigger. So yeah, they're sort of outgrown where they are at the moment. So, which is a pleasant difference in this market. So
yeah.
A lot of businesses are going backwards, not growing. So
right.
But anyway. But yeah, as I said, I just try and keep that over to the side there now and not get too emotionally engaged with it. So
As long as you don't have to carry heavy boxes and move.
Oh, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. No. No, they can pay people to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a bit like, you know, as you were saying there before, like if you inadvertently injure yourself, you know, well, I suppose at any age, but I mean, it can be quite debilitating from a whole of your life perspective, you know, and you know, like quality of life and all that sort of thing. So
yeah, that's for sure.
So no, I'm quite careful about not lifting anything or a lot of that manual handling stuff. I just say no. No, I'll pass on that. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, all my heavy lifting's done with my mind. Yeah. So have you got to spend any time in the garden at all, or is it?
Yeah, I have. I've been, and this could be another problem with it, but I've been picking up quite heavy stepping stones.
Oh, okay.
That I laid out a long time ago, and I just, stepping stones like sort of dictate what your garden looks like in a way. And so, but no, let me just, the first start of reorganizing my garden, because I want to, as you know, I want to put far more roses in.
Yeah.
The roses have succeeded that I have had, but they've also been in the wrong place, and they've succeeded in the wrong place. So you went and bought some soilless roses. Have you planted them?
Yeah, they're all planted. Yeah, and they're all shooting like mad. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Bunnings here doesn't have any roses for sale, let alone soilless. I suppose it's got something to do with this is a Mediterranean climate in winter. Rain and cold, and so I'm not quite sure when to plant them. I usually trim them all this time of the year, all the roses, which I've only done one rose plant.
So can you propagate them from the trimmings, or not really?
I've never tried. I probably can. That's a good idea. Yeah, because I've got some more to trim now. Well, the rest of them, other than the one. Yeah, I must look at that. That's a brilliant idea. Yeah, where are you when I need ideas? Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I've also got to solve some, I've got hanging baskets on the fence, two sides of the property. And no matter what I plant there in summer, it just kills the thing. Winter, you can grow anything, all right? So I've been thinking about, what do I do? What do I plant in there that's going to give some flowers, if possible, first-wise. It doesn't, not going to give flowers, and maybe green leaves.
Is it just too hot in summer, or is it?
It's too hot and direct sun all day from sunrise to sunset, quite honestly, but less so in the late afternoon. The fence protects it, and the trees protect it, but otherwise it gets probably 10 or 12 hours of direct sun. And our direct sun is often in the 40s temperature-wise around, but if it's not in the 40s, it's certainly in the mid-30s. Hectic. So yeah, the one plant, and I'm actually looking at it right now, is a geranium that really it seems to handle the sun and gives a beautiful flower in the summer. And the flower lasts quite a long time.
They're a fairly hardy plant, I think, aren't they? Geraniums?
Yeah, very hardy. Clearly hardy from proof of the pudding here. And they, you can grow from a cutting, and you cut it back, and it sprouts out very quickly. And so maybe I should research geraniums. The one I've got at the back of my property, I cut right back at the beginning of winter, and it's grown quickly again. and it's got a beautiful purple type flower. Purple isn't the right description, but gives you an idea. And it's absolutely beautiful. You know, the Commonwealth Garden one that I used to know in South Africa used to have a red flower.
Yeah.
Was it the same here? Is it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's I remember it. Yeah.
It would say sort of almost the cheap and horrible, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get here and you really appreciate anything that flowers. I think what I'll do, they basically, I think the baskets are too small because they grow so big. I wonder.
Is there any sort of native, that might be compatible or not really?
Any what? Sorry.
Like native plant around. Or?
Yeah, a lot of my garden is with native plants. And I mean, I'm looking at one right now that just never stops flowering. Okay, tiny little flower, and quite a bushy, and a gentle bush, but and it grows. It goes outwards and upwards. Probably now, I bought it when it was like a foot tall, and it's probably now 6 or 7 foot tall.
Yeah,
pushing out, and wherever you trim it, it just fills out again. So that's a lovely one. But then the other one that was very disappointing was the Australian frangipani. Okay. And the frangipani, the traditional frangipani, produces a beautiful flower. But this Australian frangipani, they promised me at the nursery, it was the other guy's name. What is his name? John somebody Nurseries. That this would flower profusely, and it hasn't had one single flower in 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And last year I cut it right back, to sort of like ground level. And I said, now die or flower. So it decided to take me on, and just grew again to quite a bushy bush and very green, but no flowers. I've given it the right fertilizer that it needs for flowering. No go. So that native one just didn't work. I have got I don't know what the other type of frangipani that grows tall with the very big leaves. That grows and flowers, and it's. But again, the summer is quite hectic for it.
They're quite a seasonal plant, aren't they? Normally, the frangipani.
Yeah. Yes, they are. Very. Yeah. So they're quite a lot planted in the street around, or the streets around here. Yeah, in their people's front gardens. You can see them from the road. They tend to grow pretty tall. Probably maybe even 8 to 10 foot. And the flowers are nice, but the flowers don't last long here. Nobody flowers that last long on the frangipani. So it's not something you want to. I just leave it where it is and wish it luck.
Yeah. And do you have any fruit trees then?
It's it's so, the area is so small. And yes, I mean, I have a lemon tree in a pot.
Okay. Yep.
And the native plant I've told you about, that's flowering, always flowering, the little flowers, just took over its position and took the sun away from it. And it's in a big, heavy pot. So I'm not sure. I've cut away the plant so that it does get sun in the pot, and it flowers, and the leaves look good, but the flowers never turn into fruit. Okay.
Yeah, I've got one out on the just in the front near the deck.
Yeah.
But I planted it in the ground rather than leave it in a pot, and it is just so prolific. The size of the fruit that it produces,
Mm.
like the lemons are like that. You know,
Wow.
they're huge. You know,
Yeah.
almost like grapefruit.
Goodness me.
Yeah, they're huge,
That's a big skin, huh?
yeah, not too thick, but I mean,
Oh,
there's plenty of fruit in it. But it's very happy where it is. Yeah, it's and it's constant. Like you're picking fruit off it, and then you've got more flowers and small fruit growing on it. So
maybe I can't plant it in the garden where it is right now but if I take it out of the pot where it is now
mm,
and take it to the other side of the garden, because lemon trees need sun.
yeah, yeah,
So I could plant it sort of just on the other side. I've got a lot of small shrubs that flower, just planted maybe in between those shrubs.
mm.
That could be an idea. And then I don't have to break my back trying to move the pot.
No, and I mean, I only sort of prune it like once a year, just to sort of when it gets a bit straggly. But it's it's incredibly prolific. You know, so
Yeah, yeah. I'd love it to be because, lemons are so healthy.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and, I often drink lemon water. We buy the lemons and
mm, mm,
ever have a supply of lemons to just have you at my desk, put a
mm,
in, squeeze some water in, squeeze some juice in and
mm.
put some warm water with it. It's a lovely drink,
Yeah, yeah,
and healthy.
yeah. No, it certainly is.
Yeah. So yeah, you've given me a great idea. I'm going to just write that down so that it doesn't slip my mind. Want to just write lemon tree. My whole life is worked on lists of things to do in my diet. And
I know the feeling. I just
eh?
you just can't rely on your memory anymore, can you? You know, it's just like yeah,
Well, there's also a lot of things. Like now, we just sort of thought of that, okay,
yeah,
and that's great. And then the other thing that I want to actually also write down would be um, uh, when I prune the roses to take cuttings. And I say cutting.
mm. Yeah. I don't know whether you can or not, but it just sort of occurred to me if you can, it would be.
I'll research it. Don't worry.
The reason I was thinking of that too is because I remember a couple of weeks ago, I think I mentioned to you when I bought that English rose. It on the label it said it was copyright.
Oh yes, you did
Yeah.
tell me.
And I think no, so presumably you can propagate from it, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. That's a good assumption, I think. Yeah.
Mm, mm,
The other thing that has grown exceptionally well in my garden are various creepers. I think the only way what I can do is maybe send you some photographs of them. Okay,
mm.
would you be interested?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Yeah, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6.
all flowering like that.
Yeah, the Chinese jasmine just doesn't stop flowering. Like,
Mm,
it is beautiful. It's one of the best creepers I've ever planted, and as I'm staring at it now,
mm,
it's beautiful. But it flowered right through summer. Okay, uh,
mm.
and uh, and it lets you know when it needs watering. It's because in summer I have a sprinkler system on twice a week, to get to those things, but sometimes it's not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to. I'm now trying to encourage the two of the creepers around the one pillar on the patio to come in, but I've got no way of supporting them. You know, my patio's got two beams, you know, down the side and the front that are solid concrete. And I've tried to look, and I experimented with ones where you like almost a curtain rail type of rod to support them. But they weren't designed for this, and so the weight just bent them. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I guess I just got, but maybe I should go to Bunnings and see if you get the right, let's call it gardener in Bunnings, you can get some good advice. But 9 times out of 10, it's just a helper, and they try and give you advice, you know, and then it just frustrates the hell out of me.
Could you use just like big cable ties or something like that, and sort of try and train it onto them or something?
If the cable ties, I tried cable ties just around the one pillar because I wanted to see, and that's holding the creeper very well against the pillar itself, so it works. But I haven't tried it over long because the front of my patio is about 5 or 6 meters, okay, from pillar to pillar, and then I'm pretty sure that sort of it would get bent and eventually it'll probably break it. And any other suggestions besides that?
No, I was just trying to think. Really.
Wire?
Maybe.
The only wire I've got is very thin.
But again, as you say, once it gets a bit of weight on it, it might become a bit unwieldy. Perhaps, I'm not sure. You know.
Yeah.
Unless it was some sort of like mesh or something like that, maybe.
Yeah. This is an idea.
I mean, over that distance, it does need a bit of support, wouldn't it? You know, was that?
Yeah. So maybe the answer is some sort of decorative pillar in the middle that just stands on the patio.
Yeah, could be too.
Yeah, I like that idea. That could probably work because then it doesn't matter if the wire or that sags. You know, it's going to be held up in the middle, and then I'll just at the moment my path is sort of 1/3 along the line, so I could change that and put the path right in the middle, put the pillar in the middle, and have the path going from the middle of it. Yeah. Yeah, it's an idea.
So how is all of your stuff going with your visa? I know the last time we were talking, you've had to put some appeal or something in. Is that going to be a lengthy process or?
Yeah. Yes. The appeal, to apply for the appeal, we had to put down another $2,000.
Goodness.
And you know that we lost all the money because they didn't accept our visa. So, you know, between the school and ourselves, you know, it was $18,000 for the visa. And they decline it and we lose it. No refunding. Okay. I mean, it's a strange.
It's horrible.
It is hard. That's a lot of money because, you know, we had to beg, borrow, and steal. And then it's just all gone with a wave of a wand, just all gone. So we had to do another 2 to put in an appeal. and the consultant actually said he would put the 2,000 in, and we could pay him off as however we want to, which was very kind of him, and which we've done. And now, to answer your question, he said it could be anything between 3 and 4 years before the appeal is looked at. But in the meantime, the status quo stays as it is. Okay, which is fine. We can come and go as we like, yeah, and it.
What was his view of the decision? He must have been somewhat mystified as well, was he?
Well, definitely. A consultant who does these things, he's been doing these things for a long time. He was convinced we would get the visa. Okay, he sort of had no doubt in his mind that he would get the visa. Okay, and we didn't. He was shocked, I must tell you, as obviously as were we. But yeah. Anyway, then they discovered not the same. I shouldn't say them. So the Australian Department of Education that deals with preschool has got its own special name. Not the Department of Education, but it's if you want to teach something or you want to work for preschool is all private, okay, is you've got to have this certain certificate, okay, people who train in Australia, university and so on, this 1-year certificate is included in there, so you want to. But Sue doesn't have this certificate, and she majored in education and in English, and they've said no, she's got to. You can only do this online through Queenstown University or something. They're on the East Coast, Queensland University, and you've got to pay the fee, which is $1,900, okay, for the fee. So Sue's been in contact with them and told them our situation and so on, and they've been very slow in coming back because she's not, as long as she's registered, okay, then you can carry on teaching.
Right, okay.
So she's registered, and the woman she's dealing with there very kindly said to her, tell you what, you can pay it off at $70 a week or something like that, okay? So no option, that's we've got it. So she's starting to do that. This about 2 days ago, the first training came through. You train online and so on. So it's been hectic and stressful for Sue as well. Probably more so than me. I mean, there's just no end. I mean, they're still waiting. The Department of Education are still waiting for her to prove that she speaks English, and that she was taught her degree in English, and that she's been teaching for the years that she has in English. Okay.
What language do they think that she was?
We can't fathom out the issues. Okay, we cannot fathom out the issues. She got a major in English. Okay, and the Wits University, where she only teaches in English. Okay, so we've now got to get a letter from Wits University to say that she was taught in English.
What do they think? What, Swahili or something? Do they? I mean,
I have no idea. Okay, I have no
it's
idea.
absurd.
You know, it's absurd certainly from our perspective, but maybe it's trying to avoid AI fraudulent certificates or something, or I don't know, or degrees, or I don't know. There's so much going on with fraudulent stuff anymore that maybe they think some sort of Asian person working with an AI.
Yeah, it's most peculiar. It really is.
Yeah.
And how did you get on with the grandchildren? Does that resolve itself, or is it still out there as well?
That's out there. That was one of the most stressful things to this. And I said, what Sue did with my discussion was, reply to her WhatsApp saying, before you make any hasty decisions, let's get together and have a cup of coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And she didn't reply to that. Instead, what she did was said, have you been talking to my ex-husband? Like, in other words, her son, Sue's son. I mean, out of the blue. I mean, we haven't seen him or heard from him since he left our house. Okay. And so he just replied, no, we haven't, but can we meet? No reply to that either. So, yeah. Thank God that her son in South Africa, contacts her regularly, and she gets to speak to her 2 grandchildren there. Perhaps once a month, but at least they exchange birthday presents, and they really are cute kids, those 2. So his wife is German, so I think it's probably once a year they sort of go over for a week or 2's holiday in Germany.
Oh, okay.
Paid by the parents, and so it's working out really nicely for them, and but we can't afford to live in South Africa. Simple as that. I've got grandchildren in South Africa, and I've got 2 sons and a brother and sister in South Africa. But Sue obviously can't get the type of work that she's got here and paid like she is here. And the government have just said, you probably heard it once on the news in the last maybe few days, is that they're going to push up the minimum, which is what Sue is on, the minimum salary for I don't know, I call it preschool. I don't know what in actual fact they call it here in Australia. And that's going to be quite significant. Okay. So it's not like it's, I can't remember what it is, but the previous increase was like $5 or $2. No, it was $2 an hour.
Yeah.
And this is going to be quite significant. It's going to make quite a big difference when it comes through, which it'll be in the end of this year sometime. So, really thinking about the good things. One of the parents who supported Sue in trying to raise funds for the original visa, the expensive year visa, and he, out of the blue, it wasn't the parent. It was the parents of the parent. They were the grandparent of one of the children that Seuss teaches. Just out of the blue, last week, the beginning of last week, out of the blue, said they are tired of seeing Sue have to get out of the car and put a charger bank on every single time she starts the car, you see. And they just said it's not right. They're going to have somebody fix it. Anyway, they sent somebody to the school, and they said it was the battery, and he bought us a brand new car battery. Okay, it was a gift to us. And then he said, no, I've got something else I want to do with your car. So the next day, the same company came with a different to the school and replaced all 4 wheels of our car. Okay.
Oh, wow.
All 4 wheels of our car. And at the same time, did a full service on our car. Okay. I mean, it like brings tears to my eyes. You know,
yeah, absolutely.
So kind. And it's out of the blue. I mean, he is originally, you know, he was actually South African, but that was a long time ago. And we've only met them a couple of times when we've been to their children's house to. They've invited us, you know, for a kid's birthday party or just to come over for dinner, and we've had that maybe 2 or 3 times. And from that, we got to know this person who was so generously paid for these things. So isn't that amazing, Don?
It is. It's incredible. Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah. And it's one of those quiet but really stressful things when you know that your tires are getting thin. Okay? Yeah. And you know that one just got so bad we had to replace one because we thought, well, it's no good having a burst tire and having an accident, you know. So it really is. So the only thing that doesn't work now, we haven't told anybody, there's no need to tell anybody, and that is our air conditioning in the car doesn't work. It packed up at the beginning of last summer. So we just try and over the weekend go out very early in order to avoid the midday heat, you know.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Well, that is good news. You know, it sort of gives you a bit more faith in humanity again, doesn't it? When you've had the barrage of all that negativity, you know. So yeah.
Absolutely. Also grateful to the Buttercups, the company that employed her. Also, you know, with sharing the visa costs, you know, the school is very grateful to do that. Shows that they wanted her, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there wouldn't be too many employers around that I wouldn't have thought that would be prepared to do that, you know. But,
So you look for it, you find the good things. But then I think I told you that the landlord has put up our rent.
Yeah, you mentioned housing is out of control in Australia. It really is. It's horrendously expensive, you know.
It's unbelievable. I mean, he put up our rent 25%. I mean, Don, who in the hell puts up rent 25% anywhere in the world?
Yeah.
Okay, except in Australia.
Well, in the Brisbane area, they're saying now that the median house price, like the average house price, is over $1 million.
Oh, goodness me.
So how does a young person even get into the housing market? Like it's just impossible. And then one of my sons, he's sort of like we've talked about it several times, and he sort of said it's not that he can't, get the loan. He says, but I just don't want to sign myself up to that much debt. And I said, I completely understand. I completely understand. Because you just become a slave to the bank. Really, that's all you do, don't you? So.
Absolutely. And the banks, some of the attitudes with the scamming, has blamed not themselves, but they blamed the person in their bank. It's ridiculous.
But you look at the banks though, and like there was the Commonwealth Bank there today announced a profit of like nearly $10 billion or something, and you think, goodness gracious, like like the numbers that I struggle to even imagine. So, it's as if you're talking about, distances planets are away. It's sort of, and you just think something's just fundamentally wrong. When they're making that much money. And one of my pet hates too, and it's one of the reasons I don't watch TV much anymore, is when you see these CEOs and that being interviewed, and they sit there smiling at the camera saying, yes, we understand how hard it is for people, and they're smiling away. I just think, I just find myself shouting at the TV.
And it doesn't look like any of the Australian political parties could do anything about it.
Well, that's the trouble with some of these big corporates. They just consider themselves above the law, don't they? They just feel like they can do whatever they feel like doing. So, which it's just incredible.
It's interesting. I'm watching with tremendous interest the relationship that appears to be forming. Unfortunately, we've only got the media to, well, we do some alternative media, but the relationship that's developing between Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
They do seem to be getting rather close, don't they?
Yeah, now because I think they both have good intentions at heart level. Okay. I mean, the Democrats won't give you an inch one way or another with that comment of mine, but certainly not even the majority of the Republicans, but somehow between Trump and a few people, I think he's got his head screwed on. He can see we're living in a consumerist society, and he's got ideas of, well, what we can do. Do we take advantage of it, or do we just let it go? But anyway, we're going to see that roll out this year.
Yeah, because that election is late in the year, isn't it? November, isn't it?
Yeah, end of the year. Yeah. When are the elections in Australia?
I've got a feeling it might be next year, I think.
Yeah, it is coming up quite soon.
Yeah.
It's probably soon after the American elections.
Yeah.
Probably just. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
But we will. Anyway.
That is probably a good place to call it today.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you make sure you take care of yourself and see if you can't.
Yep, thanks, Don. I will
get that stress out of your system.
Yeah. Must find a way of doing that.
Just sit in the garden.
Yeah, maybe the pruning and so on. You know, when I first arrived in Australia, what I used to do, because I actually put down a sort of 2-by-3 meter lawn, and I sort of built the garden around that. But I used to sit on that lawn barefoot to earth myself.
Yeah.
On that.
That's what they say, get your hands in the soil, don't they? You know, so,
Put your feet in the soil. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reconnect with Mother Earth. Oh, one thing I was going to quickly ask you before you go. I saw you said a WhatsApp thing through about Moya. Like, what's happened there? There was a WhatsApp thing, something about he's been declared an angel or something, or.
Yeah, but that wasn't news for me. No, he. Sure. Where do we go back to this? But there was, from your own study and general knowledge, there was an angel an archangel that had fallen. Okay. And is part and parcel of the sort of Luciferic world that we live in. Okay. But there's never been a replacement for an archangel. Okay. And that's, he's been now, whatever you want to call it, granted that position, or
okay. Because I was just concerned that he passed away, and I thought, oh goodness.
I can understand that reading it, because I had to read it twice, but in due course he will pass away, because I remember him, having a chat to him with a small group of people, and he was saying that most of his work is going to be done after his death, in the other realms. He said he's doing most of his work now in the other realms, and that is almost buttoned up and finished now. Okay. And they are just now in those realms. I'm not sure exactly which of the realms, but they all are following the Logos concept. Okay. And there's no longer Hindu, Muslim, Christianity, and so on, except in the immediate surroundings of the earth now. Okay. And so he wants to work on there in order to rejuvenate the planet. Those areas have got to be taken care of. And so he said, what's got to happen to the earth is going to happen. There will be a third world war, and there will be sort of a restructuring of all the countries and planets and individuals, and so on. There will be very little left, but he says there is still a chance that won't happen, but it's a slim chance at the moment. And if it does happen, quite a lot depends on Southern Africa, and that's why he was incarnated there. Okay. Just more for his energy and the influence from that, rather than trying to convince people on some religion or other. Okay.
Oh yes, no, for sure. Yeah.
So anyway, that was it.
Interesting. Okay. Well, you take care, right?
Okay, I will. Thanks, Don. Thanks for the chat. Appreciate it.
All good. See you now.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.